In the 15th century, Japan was sliding toward 100 years of civil war. Lords turned against lords, sons turned against fathers, entire cities would burn. In the middle of this collapse stood one samurai. He was ordered to destroy his own master, and he obeyed. But that is not why we remember him. While his world was falling apart, he did something no warrior around him was thinking about. He saved his country's books. This is the story of Uesugi Norizane, the forgotten samurai who saved Japan's knowledge. Most stories of samurai Japan begin in Kyoto, the capital in the west. But this story begins 300 kilometers to the east, on the great plain called the Kanto, the land the old texts called Bando. When the Ashikaga shoguns took power in the 1330s, they faced a problem every large organization knows. The East was too far away to govern directly. So the first shogun placed a branch of his own family in the city of Kamakura, with the title of Kamakura Kubo, the Lord of Kamakura. And to assist him, and to watch him, the shogunate created a second post, the Kanto Kanrei, the Deputy of the East. This office became hereditary in one family, the Uesugi. Think of it as a company. Kyoto is headquarters. Kamakura is a powerful branch office run by the founder's relatives, who quietly believe they should be running the whole company. And the deputy is a vice president hired by headquarters, sitting inside the branch office. When Kyoto and Kamakura got along, the deputy's job was easy. When they didn't, he was crushed between them. For 100 years, Kamakura lords dreamed of marching on Kyoto, and Uesugi deputies talked them out of it, or died trying. Into this impossible office in the 1420s came a teenager. His name was Uesugi Norizane. He became deputy of the East while still in his teens. The records describe a man almost comically unsuited to his violent era. Serious, bookish, obsessed with doing things correctly. He studied the Confucian classics. He believed that government should follow principles, not moods. His master, unfortunately, was all moods. Ashikaga Mochiuji, the lord of Kamakura, was ambitious, proud, and convinced that the shogun's seat in Kyoto should have been his. In 1428, his resentment found a target. The new shogun, Yoshinori, had been chosen, this is true, by drawing lots at a shrine, a shogun selected by lottery. Mochiuji never accepted it. He ignored Kyoto's orders. He used calendar names Kyoto had abolished. When his own son came of age, he pointedly refused the customary honor of taking one character of the shogun's name. Each time it fell to Norizane to clean up, apologizing to Kyoto for his master, begging his master to show restraint. He did this for years, patiently, correctly, and for his trouble, both sides began to see him as the enemy. To Kyoto, he was the man who kept covering for a traitor. To Mochiuji, he was Kyoto's spy inside Kamakura. The vice president was running out of room. In 1438, Norizane understood that his master was finally preparing for war against Kyoto. He had spent his whole career preventing this moment. Now there was nothing left to say. He quietly left Kamakura and withdrew to his own lands in the north. He may have hoped his absence would cool things down. It did the opposite. Mochiuji, seeing the retreat as betrayal, sent an army after him. This gave Kyoto exactly the excuse it wanted. The shogun declared Mochiuji a rebel and ordered Norizane to lead the campaign against him, against his own lord. Consider his position. Loyalty to his master demanded he refuse. Duty to the shogunate, which was legally his actual employer, demanded he obey. The samurai code praised loyalty above all, but never explained what to do when you served two masters at war with each other. Norizane obeyed. The campaign, known as the Eikyo Rebellion, was short. Mochiuji's supporters abandoned him. He was captured and confined to a temple. Then Norizane did something that tells you who he was. He petitioned Kyoto repeatedly to spare Mochiuji's life. The shogun refused and ordered Norizane himself to see the sentence carried out. In 1439, Ashikaga Mochiuji died in a burning temple. By every formal rule of his world, Norizane had acted correctly at every single step, and it had led him to destroy the man he served. He tried to take his own life. Prevented from that, he shaved his head, took Buddhist vows, and tried to disappear from history. But 1 year earlier, he had already started the work that history should actually remember him for. In the town of Ashikaga stood an ancient school, so old that no one was sure who founded it. By Norizane's time, it was nearly dead. In the middle of the crisis, between fleeing Kamakura and burying his lord, Norizane rebuilt it. He appointed a scholar monk as its head. He set down rules for what would be taught, and he donated his own treasured books, Chinese classics on ethics and government, hand-copied volumes that were, even then, priceless. Several of them survive today, designated National Treasures of Japan. Think about the timing. This was not a rich lord decorating his legacy in peacetime. This was a man watching his world collapse, spending his effort on a library. The bet paid off in ways he never saw. In the century of war that followed, the Ashikaga School became the intellectual engine of Eastern Japan. Warlords sent for its graduates as advisors, physicians, and strategists. 100 years later, the Jesuit missionary Francis Xavier described it in his letters as the greatest and most famous university of Eastern Japan, one of the first Japanese schools Europe ever heard of. The men who fought the wars are mostly forgotten. The school kept teaching for over 400 years. Norizane spent his last years as a wandering monk, refusing every attempt to bring him back to power. He died in 1466, far from Kamakura, 1 year before the Onin War set off Japan's century of chaos, the era the world knows as Sengoku. He never became famous. There are no movies about him. His story is, on the surface, a tragedy. A man who did everything correctly and lost everything anyway. But the books he saved are still here, 600 years later. True leadership is not only about winning today. It is about preserving what people will need tomorrow. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe. Forgotten Japan tells the stories that the famous tales of samurai and shoguns leave out. Next time, the samurai who built Edo, the city you now call Tokyo, and was murdered for being too good at his job.